Everybody, Dirk Beveridge here, founder of Unleash WD, coming to you live for our second Unapologetic Thursday LinkedIn Live. Thank you so much for joining us. Boy, oh boy, do we have a great conversation for you today. As you're coming in, let me know in the comments that you are here. We honestly are having a little bit of technology problems, and it looks like we are live, so that's perfect. Bethany, thanks for letting me know. All right, everybody, welcome. Let me set the stage as everybody is coming in. A week ago today, we published our open letter to distributors that's titled Unapologetically You. You can download the open letter and read it, download a PDF of it at the URL that you see on the screen there. And I really believe, we're going to talk about this here today, but I really believe that 2022 is the year that those of you in distribution, this is your moment, this is your opportunity to be absolutely unapologetic about being in distribution, about the jobs you provide, about the jobs you create, about being the backbone of this country. We could go on and on and on. But today, we have a really important topic. We've titled today's conversation, Family Culture. Is it messing with your business? Family culture, is it messing with your business? And this is a super important and timely conversation because of a post that I read today from an individual that I have the utmost respect for. I've worked with him twice over the years. Adam Grant is his name. And I'm going to introduce to you what he suggested relative to culture. I do have a differing view. This is the conversation that I want to have with everybody. And that's what we'll do when we get started in 2 minutes. So please come on in. Travis, hello. Jeff, hello. Harris, welcome. Come on in, everybody. Let me know that you're here. And we're going to get officially started here as everybody's coming in exactly 2 minutes. Okay? Here you go, everybody. Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming in. Travis, I don't have a bow tie. Jeff Pratt, great to see you, my friend. I loved being, being with your sales team yesterday, Jeff. Thanks for that opportunity. Harris, my good friend, great to see you down from Augusta at Camo. Travis, I agree with you. It is a great topic. Angie, I see you there as well. Hope, you're asking, good morning, has broadcast started? It has. People tell me that we are live up on LinkedIn, so I hope that you can join us. So if you don't mind, you guys, let me jump right into this. And as we go through today, please let me know in the comments your thoughts, your questions, your comments. Let's carry this conversation forward, all right? So today's topic is titled Family Culture, Is It Messing with Your Business? So let me give you a little bit of background as to why I selected this topic for conversation today. Some of you know, maybe most of you know, that last summer, I spent 97 days crossing this country on the We Supply America tour. We crisscrossed this country in the RV that you see on your screen, and we went out to champion the noble calling of distribution. And we spent 97 days, sea to shining sea. I traveled 16,599 miles, visiting 34 different distributors. Here are the majority of them that you see. And we had the opportunity to go out and actually meet with hundreds and hundreds of professionals, from the loading dock to the DC to the C-suite to everybody in between. And it was truly an absolutely fantastic experience. I have to tell you, seeing the business, seeing the operations, seeing the technology was great. But at the core of the greatness of distribution is the people. At the core of distribution, what I discovered is that distribution is human. One more time, distribution is human. It's the people of distribution that truly sets these businesses apart, that make what you do the backbone of this country, that keep America supplied. And one more time, no matter what your job is, no matter what your title is, I believe every single job has respect, if you will, has dignity, and is truly important. And we in distribution, as you know, 2022 is the year we need to be unapologetic. We need to raise the narrative of what we do in distribution. And absolutely fantastic. Now, one of my stops was in Reading, Pennsylvania with C.H. Briggs. And one of the things we did at each of the stops, like I did when we were with Julia Klein and her amazing team at C.H. Briggs, was we got everybody around the We Supply America RV and we had a little chair. Let me just show you the amazing enthusiasm of the C.H. Briggs team in Reading, Pennsylvania. Here you go. We Supply America! That's a wrap. Well done. Well done. Awesome. So isn't that the coolest thing, man? I love it, man. And I think that's representative of what I saw, what I experienced, what I felt, what I experienced at every single one of those stops. Now, so here's the point of today. As I met with these 34 different businesses, the hundreds of professionals, I had the great opportunity to talk to individuals who had 20 years with the company, 30 years with the company, 40 years with the company. In the conversation with these individuals, I saw and I truly felt the pride and the commitment they had in who they are, who they work for, who they work with, what they do. I really saw the spring in their step as we interacted and as we walked the business. And man, I got to tell you, when I asked them about what they do and who they work with, at all 34 of these businesses, primarily independent, family-owned distribution businesses. A lot of ESOPs in there as well. But when I asked them about what they did, my goodness, the smile on their face, the pride that they had was absolutely fantastic. Then here's the thing. As you can imagine, if somebody has 20 years in the company, 30 years, 40 years ago, when all we're hearing about is this great resignation, right? That everybody's turning over every 6 months, 3 years, whatever. When I hear 20, 30, 40 years, it's just natural for me to ask the question, and I always ask the question, what keeps you here? For 20, I'm thinking about an individual that he had so much pride for what he's done for 30 years on the receiving dock of Viking Electric up in Minneapolis. And just the pride of what he told me, of how he loves what he does, how it challenges him, how he knows how he's adding value to those who touch the product afterwards, both his fellow employees and the contractors and the like. And I got to tell you something. I asked him, what keeps you here on the receiving docks for 30 years? You know what he said to me? The same thing just about everybody else said. What one word do you think the majority of individuals came back to me when I asked them what keeps you here? They said family. They said it is a family here. It's like family. They went on to say, I care about the people around me. They care about me. It's they talked about how much pride they have working with and supporting each other. You know, when I asked what keeps them here, nobody said it's a community here. Everybody said it's like family. I mean, I continued to hear it so much that some of the lessons that I took from that We Supply America tour, we've kind of institutionalized those lessons in what I call the 7 ethos. The 7 ethos that truly differentiates, from my perspective from that tour, what truly separates these independent family-owned distribution businesses from all other businesses. I mean, you look at the narrative of business in the news today, and you look at the narrative of the Walmarts and the Amazons and the technology companies in Wall Street. And you know what? It's not a good narrative. But I got to tell you something. In distribution, independent, family-owned distribution, the narrative is unbelievable. That's what we need to be unapologetic for. That's what we need to rise the narrative for and of. And my point is, when I ask people, what keeps you here for 20, 30, 40 years? Invariably, they said family. To the point that you see that family is the 3rd ethos that we need to be unapologetic for. It's the 3rd ethos from my perspective that truly differentiates and these businesses, your business, and truly is something we need to continue to champion, in my opinion. There's a lot to that, and we'll give you some examples, but I define this family ethos as seeing that the individuals in the business, we embrace the inherent value and the inherent humanity of every individual with a dignified respect. Again, I believe that's something we need to be unapologetic for. So I have to tell you, so that's my thought. That's what I saw out on the We Supply America tour. And then last week, I was stopped. Boom. I was stopped in my tracks when I saw a post from Adam Grant. Are you guys familiar with Adam Grant? I'll introduce him to you in just a bit. I mean, he's not joining us, but I'll introduce him to you. And I have the utmost respect for Adam Grant. So when I saw this post from Adam Grant, well, first, Adam Grant, you see him on the screen. Let me introduce him to you. He's a professor at Wharton School of Business, and he's just an amazing thinker. He is constantly rated as the #1 professor at Wharton. He is a prolific writer. Go and get every single one of his books. He's been evaluated by Thinkers 50 as one of the top thinkers in the world. He goes over to Davos and sits on the stage at the Global Economic Forum. And look at his LinkedIn profile. He's got over 4 million followers. By the way, I don't have 4 million yet. I'm going for it though, all right? But he's got over 4 million followers. My point is, Adam Grant is an amazing individual, an amazing thinker. Over the years, when I was working with Time Warner Cable as a consultant designing their sales process, I actually hired Adam twice. So I've had the chance to work with him, and he's blown us away. And by the way, not only a great thinker, he's a great human being. And so when he posted last week, what I'm about to show you, that's what stopped me in my tracks, because it's counter to what I saw. Here's the post that Adam posted on social last week. He said, a company isn't a family. Whoa, okay, that pulled me in. I stopped. I got to learn. I got to think about it. He said, a company isn't a family. He said, parents don't fire their kids for low performance or furlough them in hard times. Okay, I get it. Good point. Good point. He says, a better vision for a workplace is a community. Now, hold on. Again, I met within 20, 30, 40 years. And I asked him, what keeps you here? Not one individual said, because we're a community. They all said, because we're a family. But Adam has a point. Let's explore it. He says, a better vision for a workplace is a community, a place where people bond around shared values. Yeah, I like that. Feel valued as human beings. Absolutely. We need to embrace that humanity and have a voice in decisions that affect them. Absolutely. So there's some things I absolutely agree. But when I see this post, I have to ask myself 3 questions. 3 questions that might be the core of what we talk about here today. Question number 1 that comes to my mind is, we have to ask ourselves, is family culture, I mean, if we take at word what Adam Grant is posting here, that company isn't family. Okay, well then that brings to me the first question: is family culture messing with your business? Fair question for us to think about. Second, despite what I saw, gotta ask, is Adam right? Let's have that conversation. And then three, we've got to ask, do we need to be apologetic for creating a culture of family? So those are the three questions that absolutely come to my mind. So let me see here. I won't put it up on the screen, but JD Ewing, I'm going to talk about you in just a little bit. I got a video clip of you. Thank you for being here, JD. And after I show this clip, man, if you got any thoughts, I'd love to hear you. But JD says, agreed, Dirk. I really think Adam Grant's writing, like it, but am conflicted with this particular message. Cool, JD, me too. Creating an environment that makes everyone feel welcome is a difference maker. 100% agreed. Okay, so Travis says we can easily copy and paste those three things and apply them to a family mentality. Thank you, Travis. Thank you for forwarding our thoughts. Okay, so let me get back to that. So here are the three questions, all right? And then I think about the people I met during the We Supply America tour and why I believe family as a definition of culture is not only okay, but is one of the 7 ethos that truly separates your businesses from others. So I go to my stop in Chicago at Advance Electric. Michelle Peacock was kind enough to bring me into that organization. And here's one of the images that is absolutely ingrained in my soul from my stop at Advance Electric in Chicago. Here you see a family of 5 individuals. I'm looking at their names. Each of these individuals immigrated from Venezuela. Right there in the middle is Miguel. Miguel is the father of Michelle over on the left and Jose above his shoulder. So father, daughter, and son. Right there are the first 3. To the right are the cousins of the individuals, all immigrated. And I have to tell you, here's a representative sample of what I saw at Advance Electric. Not community, but family. And you go across that organization and you ask people why they're there. You look at the gym that they put in for their individuals, for their employees during the pandemic. I could go on and on and on. You look at their spirituality in that company. And I asked them what keeps them here, what brings them here. They didn't say community. They said family. Here's another. JD Ewing is with us today. JD, thank you so much for being here. Here is a picture, my very, very first stop, JD, do you remember? We were introduced to each other through the National Association of Wholesalers, and within 24 hours, we met each other, and he said, yeah, I'm in town, I'm gonna stop over. And so I had a chance, I'd never met JD before, and I had a chance to go and meet him and his people. This is a picture of JD and his wife in their Pennsylvania, at the Pennsylvania Distribution Center. COE is an office furniture distributor, and just an amazing organization. The history there is absolutely fantastic. And I had the chance to walk the distribution center probably for about an hour with JD, learning about his business, learning about his philosophy, learning about how COVID has impacted the business, learning about the noble calling of COE, so on and so forth. And like a number of other owners that I was with during the tour, I asked JD to get in that moment when he realized that the pandemic was going to absolutely change the way we live, work, and play in this country, throughout our society. And I asked him to think about that moment when he realized it was going to impact his business. And rather than telling you that story, I pulled the video clip. So JD, thank you. And let me just share with you that conversation that I had with JD. I think it's about a minute and a half. Here you go. Get me to that one night when you're at home and you're looking at this world, this pandemic unleashing itself, and you're looking at your financials, and you've got over 100 individuals' lives, right? That this supports, and their families, and the ripple effect thereafter as well. Yeah. Get me, that one night, I don't want to use the word low, but that's the word that's coming to me, right? Where where you were as low as you were, or, without answer as you were. When was that, and what were you thinking and feeling, if you don't mind?
So that moment happened. I would share that it wasn't a low. I don't think I get low.
Yeah, I think that's a poor word. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to clarify that, as
Yeah.
I was never got to the point of depressed, and never really got to the point of not knowing what to do.
Yeah. Cool.
Didn't mean that I had all the answers, but I knew that we had to keep moving forward.
Yes.
And that one moment, and it was in an evening, I had the family around me, and I said, I'm gonna struggle here. I got to send a message, and made about a 6.5-minute video sharing with the entire company what we were going to do and what we weren't going to do. And that was when I shared that we were not going to lay anybody off. We were not going to furlough. We were not going to cut back on wages, and we would continue to push forward, and everybody's job was safe. And in addition to that, we were going to offer an extra 80 hours of PTO to every employee to reduce the stress level of dealing with the unknown that was the pandemic at that point.
JD, man, you touched me, man. You defined right there the noble calling of distribution. You right there defined for me this nobleness of business, the nobleness of independent, family-owned businesses who care, who love, who give, who are committed to their people, not just as community, but as family. No furloughs, no layoffs. They're protected, their income is protected, plus 80 extra hours to take care of themselves and their families, PTO. And what I cut off because of time, in the middle of the pandemic in that summer, everybody got their wage increases as well. Family. I believe that we can be unapologetic about being a family in our businesses. One more, if you don't mind. Here's Mark Bodner, an individual that I've known for a number of years, and over the last couple of months have gotten very, very close with Mark Bodner. Mark Bodner is the president and CEO of L&R Distribution out of Brooklyn. They have distribution centers over the last 60 days. I've had a chance to go visit the people in their 3 distribution centers in Monroe, New Jersey, Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Reno, Nevada. I've gotten to tour it all. And I got to tell you something, Mark Bodner is an amazing leader. Maybe more importantly than being an amazing leader, he's an amazing, amazing human being that I learn so much from every time that I'm together. And Mark at L&R has been going through a lot of change. The growth of their company is unbelievable. The number of employees is growing, unbelievable. They've generated some private equity funding to continue that growth and the like. And so one of the things, after seeing our We Supply America tour, Mark reached out to me and asked if I could help him and his team relaunch or ignite the L&R way, the culture, which family is a part of, 1,000 employees. So 2 weeks from today, on January 27th, Mark was kind enough to invite me to host a 2-hour event for his 1,000 employees that are going to be spread out across the country. And we've called it Ignite the L&R way. And we're going to have a conversation about the culture of the culture at L&R. And we're going to talk about the 10 leadership principles. We're going to talk about lead, what that means. And we could talk about this some other time. And then we're going to talk about family. How even with the growth in this organization, at the core of L&R, they are a family. So let me just give you a little introduction to that culture that I've seen at L&R. Here you go. As I've been going to different L&R locations, I've heard the word family used a number of times. This is how family takes care of one another, from the exits to helping to collaboration.
You going into a work family.
Yeah.
And everybody I work with, and since I've been here, it feels like a work family. Everybody works together for one common goal.
I really love these people. I love them as people first. I'm not concerned for them or about them, I'm concerned with them.
We're here for each other. We can have the conversations that not many other coworkers can have with each other.
and we have a very good working relationship from production all the way up to management.
There's this dignified respect that no matter who you are, there's dignity in who you are, and we respect who you are.
This is a family to me. You know, this is a family. We're all important. We all have a job to do, and it's when we all work together and respect each other that it goes smoother.
Isn't that too amazing? I can't wait to host that event to ignite the L&R way. But you heard it there. I mean, the president, CEO of that company talks about loving every single one of those individuals. You saw it in the individuals, the employees that I had a chance to talk to. They're on camera. They talk about this being a family. They didn't say we're a community here. We are family. And I do believe it's something that we can and should be absolutely unapologetic about. Would you agree? Let me know what you're thinking about. Towards the end, I'll pull up your comments and we'll have those conversations. But before we do that, what I'd like to do is tell you in the last 36 hours, I've had a chance to meet an amazing individual, an amazing business leader. I'm going to introduce to you here in just a second, Jen Selaski-Helligan. And Jennifer reached out to me after seeing my post about having this conversation about Adam Grant's post. And one thing led to another, and we talked for 15 minutes yesterday because she reached out to me on LinkedIn, and I'd love to bring her in right now and have a conversation with Jen about what we are doing. And there she is, Jen Selaski-Helligan. I hope I'm saying those right. She is the co-founder. Thanks, Jen. Co-founder of Honeybee Branding and consultant to a technology company that supports distributors. There's the context we'll talk about here called ProKeep. Jen, number one, thanks for reaching out to me 36 hours ago. Thanks for the conversations online, plus the 10 minutes we talked yesterday on Zoom. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Dirk. I'm so excited to be here and how this all unfolded.
Yeah, it's amazing, the serendipity and the like. Is it? So let me ask you real quick, why are you so excited about it? Why are you so excited about it?
You know, I think that to me, there's just something that spoke to my heart about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think the timeliness, the context, I had been out just the other day visiting counter staff at distributors. And I was having a conversation with the co-founder of ProKeep, who's a company that I've been working with closely for the last several years. And I was emotional. It was my one-to-one. It's not a popular thing necessarily with the person that's the co-founder, your client, to say, wow, I'm feeling emotional today. But I was so my heart was full and just inspired by these people at the counters of distributors I was meeting. And I said to Jack, you know, I'm feeling emotional because I'm so touched by how earnest and real these people are, and how committed they are to their work. And just to be able to walk into any distributor and feel like I was embraced with open arms, and they were just so committed to what they were doing. And that's when Jack, and he listened, he's, you know, you should really check out this series that this guy Dirk is doing. I think it would speak to you. And he sent that to me. And then I saw your post, and I'd seen Adam Grant's post a few days prior, and it made my heart wince. And so everything just kind of collided and came together because Jack had introduced me to you. I'd been talking to distributors. You were talking about Adam Grant, and it just felt like there was this collision that kind of was meant to happen in us connecting. So here I am.
I would agree. And I am glad that you are here. Thank you for that. You know, I think, Jen, we have had similar experiences walking into these distribution businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've been doing it down in the Austin area, I understand, with ProKeep and the like. Yeah. And, you know, I've been doing it for 35 years, but really immersed myself with the We Supply America. And as you're talking, what's going through my mind is there's something special going on here.
Yeah.
They're true. I believe in these businesses. There's something special that we have to be absolutely unapologetic about. We've got to raise this narrative. I should have asked you at the start, just who is Jen? What do you do at Honeybee? And tell me about ProKeep real quick. That brings you into these distributors.
Yeah, sure. So I am a brand and culture consultant, and I work with a variety of different companies to help them do what I refer to as inside out branding. And in a nutshell, what that is helping people cultivate a really connected, thriving culture and then translate that into the brand
Super
experience.
cool.
'Cause that's the way that it's just most authentic,
Yeah,
translating your people and their ethos into the experience, and that's what I believe makes the most beloved brands because they're authentic. And I've been working with ProKeep
agreed.
in the last several years, in a variety of ways on that front. And as part of that, though, I'm the type of consultant. I'm a soul girl. I grew up in startups, and so I'm not the consultant that just comes in and says, "Here's what I think you should do," and
Yeah, me neither.
thank you and good
Me
night,
neither.
please.
Right.
I wanna be in the trenches. I need to know your people,
Yeah.
and I wanna be work alongside them. And so, ProKeep is, they're a messaging platform that was built especially for distributors and continues to be evolved by the feedback of distributors, and it lets, the distributor text enable their location's,
Super cool.
phone so that the contractors can text in pictures or questions or whatnot, and it just saves everybody time. But the reason that matters is it's one thing to realize that and hear that, but part of what I've done with ProKeep is wanted to get to know the people that are actually using and served by this technology. And therein is why I was driving around Austin, popping by the counter, dropping off holiday gifts and thank yous. And
Yeah,
just to your point, really getting to know the people that you see are the backbone of America who are
they are.
continuing to build America amid all this with smiles on their faces and pride and enthusiasm and just real devotion and commitment to not only what they're doing, but to the companies that they're doing it for. And it's been again, it's touched my heart
Yeah.
and been incredibly
I
inspiring.
love it. Thinking, you and I use some of the same language, touching the hearts, right, and soulful and all that. When you saw the three or so examples that I shared just now, the picture of the family at Advanced Electric, the conversation that I had with JD Ewing, that little short clip at L&R, and by the way, I've got 34 more companies of stories like that. But
Mhm.
you just saw that with everybody else for the first time. What was going through your mind as you saw those stories that I have experienced in terms of family within these distribution businesses? And so, what was going through your mind as you saw those stories and maybe how it relates to what you're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is again back to the heart space, just it gets me. I can get choked up too seeing it the first time, but because it's so real, like the you can't contrive that. The
Yeah,
smiles on their faces and the emotion that JD showed and all of his sincerity and authenticity about that commitment.
yeah,
And I think that the thing that I've reflected a lot on Adam Grant's quote about that, like we've talked about, but um I think it comes from this place of different values in what you decide you value. And when you look at those pictures of those people and those stories, you think about what family has meant to them, maybe even prior to a business and their experience
well
with
said.
family.
Yeah,
I think I'm a counselor in training, and so I've thought a lot about this notion that different people do have different experiences with family and what their notion
yeah,
is. And I think that there's a lot of people that do find true family in their workplace and a sense of it that maybe like what they grew up with, or maybe like something that they didn't grow up with and have always been
wow,
looking at. And so, in a nutshell, that sense of belonging, it was visceral in the stories that you're featuring in your series and the ones you've shown today. The one that I saw with Porter Pipe,
yeah,
again, really
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
And
Let's
it's
talk.
cool.
Let's talk about that if you don't mind, because yesterday you said you emailed to me. You wish Adam Grant would watch the Porter Pipe episode, right? And
Mhm.
and I know I've got a little clip to show here from that. But what was it about Porter Pipe? Set it up for us that made you say, what was in your mind when you typed out to me, Dirk? I wish Adam Grant would watch the Porter Pipe episode of We Supply America.
Sure, sure. I think why I'd love Adam to watch that is just to open up a discussion about this because much like you, I adore Adam. I
Absolutely.
read the originals, I find it inspiring, and I want to know more where he's coming from the sense of family. Because sure, technically he's absolutely right in terms of what he wrote, but there is something different that gets you in terms of community relative to family. And so I just like to hear more about it. And the reason I said that specifically about Porter Pipe is there's a segment with the gentleman Harold that has been at that company for so long. And again, the way that he speaks about it is with this deep sense of belonging and care, and that he feels loved.
Yes.
And I think he uses that word, but
does.
I just, again, in that moment, when you hear how he talks about his experience with the company and that notion of family, that's very real. And I would just love to hear
So
Adam's
that's
response to that.
so if you don't mind, let's roll that clip. It's about a minute and 12 seconds, all right? And then let's come back to that one more time, all right? So Stephanie Porter heads up marketing for Porter Pipe. She was really involved in getting us into Porter Pipes, that we could tell that story of Porter Pipe. And she introduced us to this gentleman that you're talking about, 83-year-old Harold. And let's just look at that clip real quick, okay? Because you mentioned it. Okay, here you go.
We started here in '93, and there was about 12 or 15 employees. Now we're over 220,
Amazing.
from what I understand.
Yeah.
I've never worked for a boss or a company that treats their employees as well as the Porter boys do.
Yeah.
I mean, they treat me better than any boss I've ever had, including myself when I had my own business for 20 years now. How can you beat that?
I don't think you can beat that.
No,
So what is it? I mean, what is it that the Porter boys do? Right?
They make
That
us
you
all
say-
feel like we're family.
Yeah.
Every one of us. There's nothing I wouldn't do for any of the Porters.
That's amazing.
Or any of the employees here. And all these people out here,
Yeah.
they all look at me like I'm a friend and a mentor and a grandpa,
Yeah.
a dad.
Yeah.
And I treat them with respect, like
Yeah.
they're a son or a daughter.
Yeah.
And it works out well.
Yeah. If you had to sum up your 29 years at Porter Pipe, what would be the one or two words you'd use to sum it up?
The greatest experience I've ever had. It's like going to a hobby. It's like going to a playpen. I have fun and they pay me to have fun.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you beat that?
You can't beat it.
No.
You can't beat it.
I would do it for nothing, just to be here.
You know you're on
Among
camera.
all- I don't care. I don't care. I've told them that before. You know,
Yeah.
I says, this is my home away from home. Everybody gets along,
Yeah.
which is kind of unusual.
Yeah.
You know, we get that many
No, right.
people, there's going to be differences of opinion, so forth.
Yeah.
But I love it here. You look around, and we did this back in '05. I ramrodded that, put it together, and they dedicated this building to me. And I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
It was an honor, really.
We're honored to have you, Harold. We really are. We're blessed.
I love it here. That's all I can say.
We love you.
Harold, thank you. My goodness, huh, Jen? My goodness. As you watch that again, what goes through your mind in the context of what we're talking about here, please?
I think the new thing that goes through my mind is this sense of courage. And I think about, you talk about being unapologetic. And I think, look, I live and I grew up in the tech world, the startup world. And it's very easy to say, and sure, there are truths about practicalities around, okay, like you have to make money,
Yeah.
or it's not a business, it's a hobby. And so fair enough, right? And I want to get that out there and not be too Pollyanna about this. And at the same time, I think what goes through my mind is the choices that are made by business leaders in terms of how they want to treat their people, how they value their people, and how they want their people to feel. And truly, the most beloved brands have the most beloved cultures. And it does get back to that sense of belonging that Harold shared and your other examples have shared. And that notion of really feeling like your employer cares about you as a human being, not just you as a human resource and what you can do for them. And I think that was what, JD spoke to as well in terms of the holistic life of the employee. Because when you do that for them and you tap into what Harold said, what he was good at and what he loved doing, and it brought him alive, and that is devoted in the service of the company and the company's mission, that's where they're going to come to life, and they're going to not only thrive and be most productive and prolific, but also most loyal to the company, because then it's a relationship. It's relational, not transactional. And it's those companies that people are looking for and want to be a part of. Like, there's nobody that's in that culture that I've seen that's like, wow, I don't like this. I don't enjoy my job. Sure, sometimes work is hard, but they feel like they're part of something bigger. And when you spend most of your life at work, that's what people want to go do. And this is what you, I feel like, are tapping into and illuminating and showcasing, that the world of the distributors and how they treat their people is a really beautiful thing. And it's a model, I think, that can be emulated. And a lot of other, frankly, tech companies, I think, can learn a lot from them. And in some ways, it goes back to good old fashioned values and caring about people.
Jen, wow, super well said. I appreciate it. And I think you're right. And I talk about the narrative out there. I talk about the narrative across this country. I talk about the narrative in the news. I talk about the narrative of business. And the narrative that is being broadcast is a different narrative than I see in these independent businesses. And I think we really have an opportunity to be unapologetic. We are humble individuals. We are conservative individuals. We don't like to pat ourselves on the back. And I understand that. I want us all to remain humble. But I also want us to understand the difference and the impact and the importance and the nobleness of what we all do. And I think us building a culture, as you've talked about, as we've seen here, of family is all part of that narrative, that we have an opportunity to make a dent, as Steve Jobs would say, in the universe, to make a dent in our country, in our society, in our local communities, with our employees and their families. And that pebble that Mark Bodner talks about, you throw a pebble in and you see the ripples and you don't know where they go or where the ripples are going to end up or where they're going to touch. But I think we need to have these conversations, and those ripples will go, and I think we can make a dramatic impact together. So Jen, I am super excited that we had a chance to meet. Thanks for joining us, and I look forward to a lot more of these conversations, Jen.
Likewise, Dirk. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. 36 hours. I love serendipity.
I know.
Right? Be well. Thank you. So guys, see that?
Okay.
I just love these types of conversations, and as Jen did, continue to reach out to me. In 36 hours, we'll put something together and we'll have these meaningful conversations. I do want to go back to one or two things that Jen said. One of the things she said is, businesses do need to make money. We can't be too Pollyanna about this, right? And I would agree 100%. So I'm going to jump up to, these 7 ethos that I uncovered, during the We Supply America tour. And the 3rd ethos is family. But I want to jump down real quick because it ties into what Jen said. The 7th ethos is, in fact, profit. You know what? Profit is not bad. Profit is noble. And we absolutely, in business, right? We're in business in part to generate profit. And it's those profit that allows us to invest in our community. It's the profits that allow us to invest in the culture. It's the profits that allow us to invest in our people. So that's for another conversation, another day. And I just wanted to say that I absolutely agree 100% with you, Jen, when you say that. So there you have it, you guys. Today we want to talk about culture. Family culture, is it messing with your business? And Adam Grant, I appreciate you more than you know. Adam Grant, I appreciate you generating this conversation with this post. I did reach out to Adam, by the way, invited him to be on. He's on sabbatical, so he had to politely decline being on. Maybe that's a conversation for another day, I would hope. But let me just kind of conclude, and I'd love your thoughts. What's going through your mind? Put it in the comments if you don't mind. I'd love to know what you're thinking about this conversation. But as I think about what we talked about today, to me, there's 3 takeaways. There might be 3 takeaways for us here. Number 1, I believe a takeaway is that we should embrace our family cultures and embrace it unapologetically. Even when others saying you're not a family, you're a community. I think it's time that we can have a dialogue and a conversation and embrace this culture unapologetically. Jen, you alluded to this. I think the second thing we can take away from this conversation, there's more conversation to have, but I think the second thing we can take away is to embrace the humanness of these independent family-owned businesses. The word human, the word love was used so many times in my stops, 34 different businesses during the We Supply America tour. And that drives a humanness. And I started earlier by saying I truly believe at the core distribution of these businesses, it's human. Let's embrace it. Let's talk about it unapologetically. And 3, let's embrace that noble calling of distribution. We do not have what we have in this society without you, without the 30,000 independent distributors across this country. We don't have what we have. We don't have what we have without the 6 million professionals, from the drivers to the marketers to the data scientists to the administrators to the pickers to the receivers. We don't have what we have in this society without you supplying America. And it comes down to the individuals and the families within those businesses. And I think we should in 2022 embrace this noble calling of distribution absolutely unapologetically. So one more time to continue this conversation, I'd encourage you, I'd appreciate if you go to unleashwd.com/unapologetically -u to download the open letter to distributors that I published a week ago today, titled Unapologetically You. There's 5 key themes in that. We talked about that last week. I won't go into it here, but it's there for you to continue this conversation forward. Let me conclude with a thought, not from the We Supply America tour, but a thought from an individual that I have the utmost respect for, Brian Toohey, who is the CEO of the Collins companies up in Connecticut. And I had a chance to visit Brian's team, his locations, about 2 years ago. And as I'm getting to know the Collins companies and getting to know Brian, let me just share with you what he said to me. Here's what he said. He said, we didn't build this business. We, the family, the Toohey family, we didn't build this business just for ourselves, the Toohey family. He said, our responsibility is to respect and value everyone, where at the end of the day, their families can live a good life and have a good retirement. Family. Embracing the family culture unapologetically. I think every single one of us has the opportunity to do that. So everybody, thanks so much for joining us. Let me just see some of the comments that you've put up here and share them before we sign off here. Susan Merlo, great to see you. Susan says, JD Ewing, you are amazing. I would agree, absolutely 100%. Susan, let me one more time. When I put up the photo of the team, the family at Advanced Electric, you put there, oh my God, look at that photo. This is not a community. It's not a community, is it? No, absolutely not. Let me see. Travis, you put up a lot of great things here. Let me see. Just bear with me. Travis, I respect the living daylights. You know that you're managing the distribution center down in Arkansas. You moved from Georgia to Arkansas. You started seminary school just a couple of weeks ago. Your belief is amazing, Travis. And Travis says here, he was living out of sacrifice. Family, absolutely love that. Corey wants to continue the conversation. Corey asks, do they feel like family across locations or just within location? And did all locations feel the same? Corey, I think those are more great questions for us to have, right? Because it comes down to leadership, I think, a lot. Hope, you say to us, thanks for all the work for today's content. Hope, thank you so much for joining us. I really do appreciate this. Susan, again, you say Collins has a phenomenal culture. I would agree. Cedric, thanks for being here. Cedric says, please share that link again. Let me go to that real quick. Cedric, here is the link for the open letter that I suggested that you download. I'd appreciate it. unleashwd.com/unapologetically-you. Go ahead. You can screenshot that and you can download it there for you all. Okay, everybody? Thanks for joining us, you guys. This is the second, each Thursday at 9 a.m. Central. We're going to continue these conversations that we've branded Unapologetic, because after spending 97 days crossing this country, talking to 34 different distributors, hundreds of professionals throughout distribution, man, we need to change the narrative. We need to raise the narrative. Every one of us, we have issues, right? With our suppliers and supply chain. We have issues attracting great talent. We have issues out in the marketplace. And you know what? I truly believe that what you do is noble. How you lead is noble. What you do for our society is noble. And we can change that. We can raise that narrative, and we can do it unapologetically with humility. I'll see you next Thursday at 9 a.m. Central. Everybody, thanks so much for joining us. Let's keep the conversation going, and know from the bottom of my heart that I truly do appreciate every one of you and appreciate what you do for our country, for our society, for your local communities, for your family, your employees, and everybody else. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks.